We are live. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. We're going to give people a second to file in. Hopefully, they're finding us. If you need a roadmap in crypto and can you tell I'm nervous? If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please give us a thumbs up. All right, for today, we are going to be going over several things. News, live TA, and then I've got a feature on the monthly closes. Also, we're going to talk GLDN, gold, and we're going to talk about strategy as it relates to that particular project. So don't go anywhere, right? And keep tuning in as I start my own channel. So this is my first foray out there. I'm out there, right? I've always wanted to do this. This has been the sweet spot in my career. After 30 years as an analyst, I finally found YouTube as the thing where I could express myself and use whatever abilities I had. Okay, so let's start with news. Screen share. Okay, let's start with something because today was the day that the payroll number came out and Challenger Gray, which is a research company. Let me see if I can blow this up. Challenger Gray, okay, job cuts year over year are up 417%. Okay, so in other words, last year the labor market was really hot, and now layoffs have picked up like 400%. It's the most severe jobs liquidation since the forced economic shutdown in March and April. So everyone is telling you that, everyone is telling you that the jobs report that came out today is amazing or beat expectations. That's not true. Major layoffs are coming at big companies, and it really feels a lot more like 2001, where the technology sector had to correct itself, meaning right size itself in terms of its people and its business strategy. Okay, dollar index 6-month rate of change, okay, goes negative in 4 weeks, meaning the dollar is rolling over. Okay, dollar down, crypto stable or up. Right, let's go to additional news. Okay, here's everything about the jobs report, right? Payrolls and wages blow past Fed expectations. Now, again, this is an administration friendly, right? This is an administration friendly company, news company. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that they want you to think everything is okay, but it may not be. It may not be. Now, let's talk about, is everything okay or is everything not okay? Yesterday, Mike Novogratz came out on the same channel. So I'm going to stop the screen share for a minute here and just talk. Yesterday, Mike Novogratz, head of Galaxy Digital, right, who is ex-Goldman and is somebody that comes with a deep background both in legacy and crypto, came out to address the PR campaign surrounding Sam Bankman-Fried, right? Where he's trying to go around to all these news outlets and basically say, I'm sorry for what I did, and try to sort of do this prodigal son apology to the world. Now, what the fact of the matter is, Sam is trying to say as follows: I'm sorry that I did bad risk management with money that I stole from depositors, right? He took customers' money and speculated with it and blew it up. He literally took money to plug holes in balance sheets and cover big losses in related companies. So as you may know from watching other YouTubers and seeing the news, particularly from Novogratz, Novogratz is telling everybody about the damage that this guy did to crypto. Now, that said, the damage that he did to crypto may be, for the moment, fully priced in. So the title of the stream is, can there be a crypto Santa rally? In other words, did everybody get so bearish on crypto that crypto actually may be able to go up just because people are so apocalyptically bearish? Now, one other twist, a lot of these assets that, people were concerned could get dumped into the market may be tied up in bankruptcy. There's also the idea, rightly or wrongly, that GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, whose parent company was also impacted by the FTX debacle, okay, may not have to dump all the Bitcoin that it owns. I think they've got 600,000 Bitcoin if that trust has to be liquidated. My bet is that somebody's going to come in and just flat out buy that company, buy that trust, and buy that amount of Bitcoin. Because otherwise, I think the trade would have been done by now. Otherwise, or it may get done next year. All right. For the moment, it looks like Bitcoin and Ethereum can sit. And let's go to the charts and let's talk about that. All right, here we go. Here comes a screen share of a little bit of live TA. Okay, one thing that's back that people hopefully will like is DeMark work is back. It's back. Okay. Basically, I was told I couldn't use this anymore. And guess what? Now that it's my own channel, I can. So this is Ethereum on a 90-minute chart. And we've got to go to narrower, smaller time frames. Why? Well, because the market hasn't done much. Now, what we see earlier this morning was a 13 top, which, as you can zoom in here, all right, that's normally a sign that the up move is over. Now, what happens if ETH doesn't turn around and go down? What if ETH actually sits still at these levels? Okay. Now, if you look at a 4-hour chart in ETH, you don't see the 13 top signal. Okay. And you see a lot of real estate over here. Like there's nothing stopping ETH from going higher if it wants to. Okay. Now, when you look at the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, okay, you've got a 9 top, which normally causes a pause in the trend. Then, as you can see, the market dips lower, again, in line with the theory behind the 9 top. And then theoretically, Bitcoin can resume once the overbought condition is relieved. Now, that sounds good, but what drives Bitcoin higher? Like what would punch it? And the answer to that is gold. Okay, we're going to go through gold in full. I'm going to do it right now using the DeMark work. Okay. So here is Pax on a weekly basis. All right. So this is a weekly chart of Pax Gold. Now, gold is off this morning because, again, people are interpreting the job numbers being better than they actually are because they're not looking at future layoffs. So gold was up big yesterday and gold's a little bit down today. But if you look at Pax on a weekly basis, Pax is breaking out. And sometimes this DeMark 4 signal can mean you can go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're talking about possibly 5 more up weeks in gold. So if you go back to market updates that I've done in the past, whether they were behind the paywall or whether they were on YouTube, this idea about being long gold has actually worked. And crypto eventually followed it. And as longtime viewers, if they can get a hold of this stream, they'll know that I've been talking about a top in the dollar for a while. Even when everybody was talking about 5% Fed funds, I'm still talking about a top in the dollar. Okay, now let's go to GDX weekly. What's GDX? It's gold mining stocks. You're like, Bill, I thought this was a crypto live stream. Yeah, right, it is. And we're going to be able to cover a lot more on this live stream. So again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GDX is breaking out. See this blue line here? GDX is breaking back above a prior floor. Okay, so GDX crashed starting in June of last year. It spent the entire second half making this U-shaped bottom, and now it's trying to break out. Okay, so if gold can break out, if gold mining stocks can break out, isn't it possible that things like Bitcoin and Ethereum could follow? Right? Especially if the dollar remains weak, or if the dollar goes down and stays down. Now, why would the dollar go down and stay down? Well, one, because the divisiveness of U.S. politics seems unending. Two, the U.S. is running deficits that are staggering. We all know about the fiscal and monetary irresponsibility of the U.S. government, right? So everyone was buying the dollar. Everybody assumed the dollar was unstoppable. Now it looks like the Fed is going to have to slow down rate hikes, and you're going to have probably spiraling layoffs, sadly, in some of the bigger sectors in the economy. And the second the Fed hikes rates, it doesn't matter whether it's big or it's small. Every time they hike rates, big companies are going to announce layoffs, and they're going to blame it on the Fed until the Fed stops hiking rates. Now, it's not going to intimidate the Fed, but that's what's going to happen. They're going to use the Fed as a shield to hike rates. I'm sorry, they're going to use the Fed as a shield to do layoffs. Okay, so we can do more live TA from here. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum, believe it or not, I'm actually keeping it really simple. Green line is the 21-day moving average. And the 21-day moving average is at 16,500 in Bitcoin. And as long as it's above that, there's a chance Bitcoin can go higher. Now, there's another thing about the 21-day moving average that is worth noting, in that Bitcoin hasn't been able to sustain any moves above the 21-day. It would go up above it, and then it would fail, right? And it's been that way for a while, right? It's been that way since August. Bitcoin might track the 21-day moving average, but it's never been able to break it and stay above it. Now, again, given this avalanche lower on this gigantic fear trade, right, Bitcoin actually has a shot. Who should be in jail? Let's do it this way. Who should be in jail? Sam Bankman-Fried or Bitcoin? Right? Everyone's given up on Bitcoin. Everyone's given up on crypto. Okay, fine. So maybe crypto goes lower if there's a liquidation event. But I don't think anybody has really considered what's called a Santa rally, right? And what's a Santa rally? Well, in equities, because people have to do year-end window dressing, sometimes, stocks can just levitate higher. Now, that's stocks. We'll cover that in a minute. Does that apply to crypto? Will there be tax loss selling, meaning people lost money are just going to go, I'm out? Will miners go, I need to get out? And will whales and long-term holders capitulate? There was a lot of fear about that because a huge amount of crypto got moved to exchanges, and I'm not denying that. The big question is, will these people liquidate this year? And is the gold trade the safer way to make the lower dollar bet with a smaller idea that crypto could follow? Because if you look at ETH, right? Look how ETH behaved if you zoom in on it at the 21-day moving average. Okay. ETH did a very small break above it. Okay, right there. That was the green candle. The next day, it retested it. Okay, it retested it and then it was gone. Okay, and ETH, like Bitcoin, has not been able to stay above the 21-day moving average. Not only that, but the last time ETH smashed through it, it basically, went from 1,400 to 1,100 off this sort of men behaving badly debacle. Now, again, it's interesting. The men behaving badly are trying to do a PR campaign convincing people that they didn't behave badly. They did. Their assets are tied up in bankruptcy and people may never get their money back. And the revulsion and the disgust with crypto is as high as it's ever been. Okay. Which could be a recipe for a rally. Like, can you imagine ETH at 1,400? Who's calling for a rally in ETH to 1,400? Nobody, which, is a good reason why it could happen, right? If you look at this prior low here, right? There's no reason why ETH can't attack that level, especially if it's above the 21-day moving average. Now, let's go to Pax, okay? Because I'm really interested in, let me see if I can adjust the colors here. Okay. So this is the Williams oscillator in Pax, okay? And right now, what you can see is, if I really absolutely blow this up, is that this oscillator is at zero. In other words, it's just ticking positive. And really, really big moves can occur, okay? Really, really big moves can occur when the Williams oscillator gets to zero. So this could mean that this goes materially higher, right? Materially higher. Hence my thought that, hey, why not do this gold trade? Why not? Okay. Now let's switch over to another topic in gold, one that undoubtedly everybody wants to hear about, which is GLDN and my GLDN story. So with GLDN, I was introduced to this and I was asked to appear on their Twitter spaces and talk about the market. So they have a fundamental guy that talked about the market, and they would have me, they have a fundamental guy talking about GLDN, and they would have me talking about the market. Now, in exchange for that, I received GLDN tokens. This is when GLDN was at 2 cents, right? And they said, okay, we'll give you 1% of the supply as a speaking fee. So I said, okay. And the idea is that this project that involved gold and water would be something, as from a research point of view, that I could speak about over a long period of time. Because essentially, this project is about gold, betting on gold in a small cap way outside the system, and getting a small gold dividend to hodl water. Meaning this project was going to introduce the possibility of price discovery in water. Meaning you have oil futures, you have wheat futures, you have soybean futures. These guys were going to try water futures as a research idea. And I was like, that is possibly the water aspect of it. So you can hold gold to get airdropped water. Recently, these guys have airdropped the water token. It's called BARC, B-A-R-C. And it's traded with GLDN as the pair. So I did a video on this. I invested in it because I believed in it. It's as simple as that. Now, you've probably heard by now that code reviewers, people who are fundamental analysts in crypto, have come out and said all kinds of negative things about this project. Well, guess what? One of the reasons why I liked this project is because I knew other people would absolutely hate it, right? They would see, okay, well, the tokenomics right now are not sustainable. You can't buy the token and get a Pax dividend forever. And then they fixed the tokenomics by releasing the water token. Okay. So again, this was something that I could talk about over a long period of time. Not something that was like, oh yeah, let's make a quick buck. Now, I did take some profits on the way up because my daughter is going to medical school. But I kept the lion's share of it, which will be disclosed and locked up, because I got a huge airdrop of the water token, right? Which is right here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay. So here is the water token. It's called BARC, right? So right now it's airdropped and it's basically back to where it was airdropped. It's basically back to where it was airdropped. People expected 10, 20, 50, 500x. I didn't get involved in this for that. I got involved in this because once you have global warming, okay, once you have water transported through the blockchain, right? Think about it this way. What happens when a major futures exchange 1 year, 2 years from now announces that they are also going to do water futures? Like, what happens when someone validates this idea? What happens? Well, somebody goes, wait a minute, this already exists on the blockchain. Okay. The GLDN ecosystem is hiring gentlemen like this, okay, who have major experience, okay, in green energy and hydroelectric power. So let me go to the white paper for GLDN and point out something. So I'm sorry, this is the white paper for Blu Arctic BARC. Okay. The reason why I got involved in GLDN to begin with. Okay. Now, watch this. Potential future earnings. BARC, the airdrop from owning GLDN, provides holders with the potential earnings of the reserve and export rights of Gold Retriever LLC and Blu Arctic LLC and North Water Greenland's 1.6 gigatons of water per year. In other words, if you're out of gasoline or you're out of water, or you're out of gasoline or you're out of crude oil or you're out of natural gas like Europe, you go to a market and then that water can be delivered to you. Or you can use futures as hedging instruments. So here's an idea. When people in crypto think about futures, what are they thinking about? They're thinking about, well, gee, FTX, I can do futures and get 50x leverage. No, that's not what futures is. That's not what futures is. Futures is something that allows speculators and people who need to take delivery of things to join up and meet together. So the speculators and the commercials is what they're called, use futures contracts, oil, soybeans, etc. So what's going to happen to this on the next drought? The next big drought that affects soybean prices. Okay. BARC holders are going to receive income, almost like a dividend in a way, not investment advice, from price discovery in water. And this has been underreported, and BARC has GLDN as a trading pair. Okay, so let's try to sum this up. Gold is doing well, and that theme is working. The theme is working. GLDN is being sold relentlessly for two reasons. One, small altcoins rally and then frequently retrace substantial amounts, right? This happened in Matic, right? For 2 years, I was on a live stream on Sunday night with Ian Bellina talking about Matic. And we watched Matic go up and go down 50% or more at least 2 different times. At least 2 different times. Because that's what happens with these small altcoins. I mean, Matic was trading at the time for a fraction of a penny. 2 to 3 years later, it was 1,000x. But this idea that things can go way up and way down is common. It's common. And if you're selling GLDN, who are you selling it to? It's like all the people who were selling gold because the dollar was going to the moon, right? The dollar was never going to go down ever in our lifetime. And people were selling gold relentlessly. People were selling gold relentlessly. And who did they sell it to? Smart money. Now, I'm not going to claim, because it's not investment advice one way or the other, of who you're selling GLDN to when you sell it, wherever it's at now. Right? But the simple fact of the matter is you're holding gold and you're getting paid in gold temporarily to hold water long term. In other words, everyone is always like, well, you want to hodl. You want to be in altcoins. So I found one. This also goes back to this idea that, you know, I was in crypto for 4 years, right? I watched Helium and Matic. I watched our guys do Steppen, right? They bought the sneaker ETFs. They walked, earned $700 a day to go for long walks. And then they sold the sneaker ETFs and then the whole ecosystem collapsed. In no way, shape, or form do I want to do that in this case, because this sort of like Ponzi-nomics, let it go up, sell it to fools at the top and let it crash. I'm not interested in that, right? What am I interested in? Well, I'm interested in gold. I'm interested in water. I'm interested in Bitcoin and Ethereum, along with a whole host of other altcoins when they get to the right price. Now, again, crypto has gone through this epic men behaving badly incident, right? And if you go back to the DeMark work, right? If you go back to say, what do these coins look like, say, on a weekly or a monthly basis? Okay. In other words, we're going to go to a slideshow in a minute where we look at things on a monthly basis. There's a 9 bottom on ETH on the monthly charts. Now, no one probably believes ETH can go up, just like nobody believed ETH could go down. Oh, screen share. At least one thing hasn't changed, right? Okay. So here you have the 13 top, and that was sell in May and go away. That was get to the chopper. That was get out of this market. Now, it turned out to be an epic black swan event, but the DeMark work told you it was there, just like this 9 bottom is really interesting. Normally, 9 bottoms either give you a bottom or they give you one really big thrust up before the trend resumes. Okay. ETH weekly on DeMark. Okay. Now, you didn't get the 13 bottom, but there was a lot of support near 1200 that wound up holding. So this idea of 1400 is very possible. Very possible. Okay. Now, one other aspect of crypto that I don't think anyone is looking at is, believe it or not, what these charts look like on a daily basis. So we talked about the 21-day moving average. Okay. And here is Bitcoin doing 1, 2, 3 to the upside. You could be looking at 6 or 7 more up days in Bitcoin. Okay. Let's check Ethereum. Now, here is the good news and the bad news. Normally, after you have a DeMark 4 signal is when you want to buy the dip. That's, not investment advice, how it normally works. Okay. Now you have this sequential resistance level around 1281. So obviously ETH's got some work to do, right? You don't necessarily buy resistance, but you have to ask yourself, right, what happens if ETH breaks out? Because I would guess that if gold breaks out, ETH is next. Okay. So I also want to address a few things just for the record. People have said a lot of bad things about me and my motivations. My motivations have always been to do really good research, which is what Gold Retriever and GLDN are offering me the opportunity to do. I'm director of research for them. So if I didn't believe in the project, I wouldn't be working for the project. Now I actually get the freedom to say what I want to say and do what I want to do, regardless of where I have to start from. Regardless of that. I've been a researcher for 30 years, and I'm going to continue to be one. And I think I found an investment that I can talk about over time because it has both fundamentals, strategy behind it, and the technicals of the gold market, right? Being long gold outside of the gold ecosystem and getting paid in gold to get airdropped a water contract. So that's my motivation. That's the GLDN story. That's the news of the day and live TA. Let's now let's try something where we talk about the monthly close. So as you can see, the market update is back. Art provided by Kathy Crypto, right? Let's talk about ETH on a monthly basis. So when you look at ETH on a monthly basis, okay, this is the 50-month moving average, this red line here. Isn't it interesting that ETH has been pounding on the 50-month moving average now? I'm looking at 6 months. 6 months. Now, you got a lot of guys calling for 800. I saw 300. I saw 500. I know where those levels come from. I see them on charts. But it's really interesting when you look at a monthly picture that ETH's holding just fine. Okay, here's the dollar index on a monthly basis. So I'm talking about the dollar topping. And you're like, well, are we talking about 2-3 days? Or are we talking about permanently or in the intermediate term? The dollar has been on a rally, been on an uptrend since 2008, which is really strange because they've been printing it like crazy. But will that catch up with them, right? Will this idea, this 5-wave up, right, that people just were so permanently bullish the dollar? Look at this reversal on a monthly basis. This is a candlestick formation, right, that provides, really a bearish signal long term. So up, then a doji stalemate, and then turns around in November and goes down. Okay, same thing with UUP, which is the dollar index ETF in the equity market. Possibly hard to see up here, but there's a 5-wave signal and a 0. Now that 0 comes from D-Wave, DeMark's Elliott Wave tool, which hints that a major top has been put in. So not only is it a 5-wave up, meaning the end of some emotional, almost crazed rally, but some sort of long-term permanent top. Okay, bonds. Okay, IEF is the 10-year note ETF. Note there's a 13 bottom on the weekly chart. Okay, with the payroll number, this may not look as good of a green candle because bonds came off. But the bottom line is there might be a bottom in bonds, which means rates are done going up, even if the Fed continues to do ceremonial rate hikes. So what was killing crypto? What's been killing crypto all year long? Bonds down, rates up, dollar up. It's been killing crypto all year. Now let's look at stonks. It's very fashionable in crypto to sort of hate stocks, right? Now you have 2011, 2016, and 2020 that the 50-day moving average has held. Okay. This was probably the most apocalyptically bearish sentiment in equities since 2008. There really were only 2 separate times where people were this bearish at the bottom. And wouldn't it be funny if this idea of cost cutting at the corporate level and stable to lower interest rates at least kept stocks stable, at least eliminated some sort of black swan blow up in stocks from the crypto landscape during the Santa rally period in equities? Something to think about, because very rarely do people look at monthly charts. Web 2 NDX, same thing. These two monthly candlesticks had huge wicks, and they pounded on this 50-month moving average twice. Okay. Gold on a monthly basis. Okay. 2001, you had a break above the 50-month moving average, and it was gone. Okay. 2018, similar. 2022, huge green candle after 6 or 7 straight down months, right? Dollar parabolically up, gold hit 8 months in a row. What happens if you wake up one day and gold is moving like an altcoin, or gold miners are moving like altcoins? Is that super sexy right now? No, but you made more money with less stress in gold, and gold could go to the point where crypto has to follow. At a really interesting point where people are down on crypto, maybe they've done their tax loss selling, right? I mean, tax loss selling will probably be over in 2 weeks. Amazing that crypto is holding despite the fact that people are going to sell losers. GDX, we talked about this earlier. Okay. If gold mining stocks break out and continue to rally, gold's going to go with it, followed by Bitcoin. And again, this is the PAXG chart from earlier today. Now, admittedly, PAX is at resistance at 1800. The question is it going to back off from resistance? In other words, if you go back to what we did in altcoins all these years, we would say be careful of a consolidation just below resistance. Okay. So that's your look at the monthly closes. Let's sum it up. It's okay to do research. As far as I'm concerned, it's okay to believe in a project, even if other people give you heat about that project. I mean, when it came to GLDN, did you think it was going to be easy? It wasn't easy in Matic. It wasn't easy in Helium, right? It was easy in Steppen as long as you got in at the right time. You know, like Helium, for example, I had to give my miners away because I didn't get filled on my order until the end. So it's okay to believe in an idea, and it's better to believe in it early. And if you have to take the heat, you take the heat. Being long gold to get airdropped water is an idea. Being bullish gold and thinking stocks and crypto could go with it is another idea that people aren't considering. So this channel and this live stream will continue to be about ideas, right? Don't forget to like and subscribe, right? And get notifications when we're going live. We are going to have to rediscover all the 4,000 people that used to watch the stream every day. If you're out there, come on and join us on the channel. So this is Bill Noble. I will see you next time.